You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another review. Today we're going to be reviewing South Park Season 26. Now, I recently reviewed Season 25, so now we're naturally on to 26. Now, coming off the coattails of the fairly boring and overall just kind of bland Season 25, I did not really have the highest of expectations for 26. That said, Season 26 shattered those expectations and was actually pretty great. I gotta say, this was a massive step up from Season 25. We'll go over it in more detail as I'm talking about the individual episodes, but this was South Park. This actually felt like South Park the whole time. It wasn't just one standout episode, it was 4 great episodes and 2 good episodes. So 2 that were good, 4 that were great. So overall, pretty good track record, all of them were at least good. Now, much like Season 25, Season 26 only has 6 episodes, as is the norm now. Those episodes being Cupid Ye, The Worldwide Privacy Tour, Japanese Toilets, Deep Learning, Dick and Boss Hot Dogs, and Spring Break. So with Cupid Ye, it's overall a pretty good episode. There's one major, and I do mean major, flaw I have with it that I think is pretty glaring. Overall, the concept is funny. It is poking fun at some of the kooky behavior of Kanye West in recent years. And it parodies that interview he did on the Alex Jones show when he had, that weird bag mask over his face and was, had the net and stuff. As you could probably imagine, Cupid Ye is a reference to Cupid Me becoming Kanye West, basically, because, Kanye is Ye. Cupid Ye instead of Cupid Me, he becomes like Kanye. And I'll tell you just right now what the major issue I have with this episode is, and it's something that's a pretty big problem with character consistency. Why the fuck would Cartman have any problem that Cupid Me is promoting Nazism and anti-Semitism? It's fucking Cartman. Cartman literally got the whole town to turn on the Jews in The Passion of the Jew. He constantly talks about hating Jews. He's had plenty of episodes where that's been a focal point. That's one of the key defining traits of the character. He was literally Hitler for Halloween in the first special. So how in the fuck does he have a problem with it? I'm so confused. Now, I know Season 20, we didn't get real Cartman, and he's been pretty tame in recent seasons, but this is a direct and glaring contradiction to a pretty major character trait. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen the post-COVID special, so maybe those quote-unquote develop the character, but I don't want Cartman to grow and become less extreme. It's fucking Cartman. The reason Cartman is great is because he's Cartman. In recent years, he's been very tame and less of an asshole. We do actually get a return to form of him later in the season as far as him being an asshole, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Cupid Ye was overall a fun episode, had a lot of good laughs, and was overall poking fun at some pretty funny things going on in pop culture at the time. The only major problem I have is the inconsistency with the character. That itself holds it back from being a great episode. It's a good episode. It would be great if it didn't have that pretty big inconsistency. For me, that holds it back a little bit. Alright, now on to the second episode of the season, the Worldwide Privacy Tour. And this episode was great. This is one of the great ones. Spoiler, the great ones are all in the middle. It's the beginning and end that I think are the weaker parts, but overall, still good. The Worldwide Privacy Tour was really funny. The whole episode was just making fun of one thing that was going on at the time, but I remember it, so I got the joke, and it was pretty funny. That being Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Constantly going and doing all sorts of very public appearances and shit, and being attention-craving celebrities, but also claiming that they want their privacy and saying people are invading their privacy when they're literally writing books and appearing on talk shows and shit like that. Overall, it was a really good satire of that. This one is just a straight-up satire one. There is some good character stuff too, but it is predominantly focused on the satire. And like I said, when they do current events well, it can be fun. The problem is they haven't been doing it well for a while, but this one is a great example of it. So it was a really nice return to form. Alright, next up we have Japanese Toilets. This is where I really started to realize that the season would be great. Japanese Toilets is the best episode of the first 3 that we've said. It's not the best episode of the season, it's probably second or third in my opinion in the season. But this episode is just about Randy getting a Japanese toilet with a bidet and then trying to preach to people that they should also get those Japanese toilets, but then getting shot by the toilet paper companies, and there's this whole big conspiracy to prevent people from getting bidets so that the toilet paper industry can keep making money. It's really funny, it's really out there and outlandish, and it's very South Park. Like, something tells me that Trey Parker bought a Japanese toilet and realized that it was really great and had to make a whole episode about it, and it turned out really well. Something that makes me really happy about this episode, this is Randy. Like, this isn't bullshit Tegrity Farms Randy. I mean, yeah, he's at Tegrity Farms, but this is fucking Randy. Like, it's Randy acting like Randy. It made me so happy. The character actually has been really good these last 2 seasons. It's been Randy being Randy, instead of just being the, oh, look, I sell weed, here's a special. It's Randy! Like, what more can I say? I'm happy to have real Randy back. I want real Cartman back, and we do kind of get real Cartman back in another episode, but we'll get there when we get there. But overall, I was just happy to have Randy being Randy. Side note, though, the toilet in this was an old blue one, and they called it Old Blue, right? Which I think is a reference to, a lot of farmers have an old blue truck they call Old Blue. What I want to know, how did this become such a common occurrence? My grandpa had an old blue truck he called Old Blue. Why is this such a common occurrence in old farmers? It's so strange to me how common it is. Nevertheless, awesome episode. This is where I really started to think that the season was really coming to a head. Alright, next up we have Deep Learning, the ChatGPT episode. This episode was fucking hilarious. It had a lot of the characters at the school with a lot of good screen time, and of course it was commenting on ChatGPT. And part of the episode was even written by ChatGPT, and you can very obviously tell what part, and it's really funny, because of how nonsensical some of it is, like Cartman calling Stan a dumb Jew. Doesn't make any fucking sense. This episode was really fun. I don't think it was as good as Japanese Toilets, but it was still really fun, and it is one of the great ones, I think, as well this season. Overall, very fun episode about Stan and Wendy, and Stan using ChatGPT to send Wendy texts in order to make her think that he's paying more attention and cares more and stuff like that, because she was getting mad that he was just giving thumbs up instead of actually replying, whereas Clyde was sending Bebe all these sweet messages that he was generating with ChatGPT. Overall, really fun episode. Alright, Dick and Boss Hot Dogs. This is the best episode of this season, hands down. Dick and Boss Hot Dogs is Cartman and Butters acting like Cartman and Butters, especially Cartman. This is Cartman acting like Cartman, taking advantage of Butters' good nature and fucking him over. It absolutely felt like South Park, and it felt like another good Cartman and Butters duo. Like, honestly, this for me joins the ranks of things like Casa Bonita and Asimo. It's not quite as good as either of those, but it joins their ranks. It's good. It's really good. It's fucking hilarious. I love this episode. I love everything about this episode. It's fucking great. It also does a nice job at wrapping up the Cartman living in a hot dog thing, because at the end of the episode, he does move back to his old house. The hot dog itself is the key point of the episode, with them opening up a restaurant in the old Coney Island hot dog. But yeah, Cartman fucks over Butters by forcing Butters to get him a job, and then making Butters do all the work, and then taking all of Butters' money to fund his own restaurant. It's just very classic Cartman and Butters. Like, it's South Park. It felt like South Park. It didn't feel like weird, like, oh, look, these are mouthpieces. Hey, look, you see what happened in the world today? It didn't feel like that. It felt like South Park. It was fucking great. Like, honestly, this is one of the best modern episodes. I fucking love it. Dick and Boss Hot Dogs, great episode. Honestly, one of the better ones of the series even, not just of this season. Loved this episode. Alright, now we're on to Spring Break. Now, Spring Break is really good and really funny as well. My one gripe with it is it does have Garrison go back to being Trump and stuff like that, and that does make me a little wary about what'll happen next. In fact, they're too cowardly to make more episodes now. They're waiting until after the election. Now, I say too cowardly, but it also might be the right move with just how much of a fucking disaster Season 20 was. But they could just not do that. They could just do more shit like Dick and Boss Hot Dogs or Japanese Toilets. Those episodes were great. Do more of that, and I'll watch it every fucking week. Just give me South Park. Don't give me political mouthpieces. Now, admittedly, the Garrison Trump stuff, there were actually quite a few laughs with those. I think it was a little out of touch, but there was a good amount of laughs with them, too, I'm not gonna lie. It was still actually a good episode. I still quite enjoyed it. That said, it is probably my least favorite of the season, with Cupid Yee being my second least favorite. And then after that, I would say Deep Learning would be the 4th place spot. Worldwide Privacy Tour being the 3rd place spot, Japanese Toilets being the 2nd place spot, and of course the best episode of this season being Dick and Boss Hot Dogs. Overall, this season was an amazing return to form. It was nice to see South Park be good again. I don't know if it'll last, because it does end with, you know, Garrison contemplating becoming Trump again and going, oh, I want to stay in South Park with you, but we'll have to see. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. So they're literally delaying the show until 2025 because they don't want to do episodes on Trump, but if and ideally when he wins, they're going to have to fucking deal with that. And if that means South Park's going to be bad again, then so be it. It is something that it does show that they are kind of cowards now. Because back in the day, they didn't give a shit what people thought. They just do episodes. And they didn't even have to always talk about every current thing going on. They did episodes with characters and then sprinkled in current events. And then the current events became more of a focus, and they still did it well with a balance, and then eventually they just switched to whatever the fuck Season 20 was. This one is an excellent return to form. I'm not going to get my hopes up that 27 will be as consistently good, but this was a nice surprise after Season 25's massive disappointment. Overall, I loved this season. It's not one of the best seasons. I would place it above Season 19, which I would not place Season 25 above Season 19. So this is better than 19. It's better than 18. It's obviously better than 20. It's obviously better than 24. I'd also say it's better than 21, 22, and 23. This is better than, like, a good 7 of the more modern seasons. 19 is actually one that I like. This is better than that. So that's a nice change of pace. And if it does stay on a good trajectory, maybe I'll go back to being as big of a South Park fan as I was before, but I doubt it. But nevertheless, this season was great, and honestly, I gotta buy it now. I gotta fucking buy it. It was really good. Thank God South Park was good again, even if it is just for one season. We'll just have to wait and see, right?
What a grand adventure this has been. God bless us, everyone.
Gotcha. As soon as I can walk again, I'm gonna kick that kid's ass.
Subscribe to Fiji Red Eye.